This slide presents a detailed map of the airport site. The red line outlines the airport's boundary, highlighting its total extent along with the connecting road leading to National Highway. I procured Copernicus World DEM of 30-meter resolution of 2014 for this airport site. The digital elevation model represents a pre-construction model because it is of 2014, and it facilitates an understanding of elevation variations, natural landforms, and drainage patterns. This slide illustrates the automated stream network developed using the digital elevation model. You can see dark and thick lines represent areas of high flow accumulation. As shown in this slide, the airport site is situated on the upstream side of the flow network. In this slide, you can see the airport site is located between two natural catchments, one draining into the Gotsani River and the other into the Champavati River. Most of the airport area found to be draining towards Champavati River. Please note the catchment boundaries are based on the pre-construction elevation model. So the central line of the catchment will shift after post-construction. The catchment draining into Champavati River is roughly half of the size of the catchment flowing towards Gotsani River. So if the airport drainage can be fully diverted towards Champavati River, the Gotsani River catchment can be made to remain in its natural state, preserving its ecosystem. Meaning the bigger catchment, we can just leave it as it is, and we can only work on the smaller catchment. So this would leave only Champavati River catchment to manage. You can also see towards the Bay of Bengal, some parts of the airport site are draining directly into the Bay of Bengal. Now this slide presents the flow lines over satellite imagery. The airport site originally had a pond and also some low-lying areas, which have since been leveled through earthworks. It is important to recognize the pre-construction conditions of this area, as these areas may create internal pooling areas even after the construction, when the ground settles. Fortunately, being located at the top of the catchment, the airport site has minimal risk of flooding from upstream areas. So obviously, because there is no further upstream areas, so there won't be any issues caused by the upstream areas. However, attention should be given to managing the internal pooling areas which may, down the line develop. If the new drainage network for the area site is designed to leave the Gotsani River catchment unaffected, as I said, only the catchment draining towards Champavati River and also the flows directly going into Bay of Bengal, only these are the ones we will have to deal with. So this catchment, then we can carefully manage and account for water quality and water quantity impacts caused by the new development. Once the airport construction is completed, it is crucial to acquire a new high-resolution elevation model. It can be using LiDAR technology. LiDAR is light detection and ranging. In most of the developed countries, LiDAR acquisition is a very common practice. So, even for this area, authorities may think of acquiring a LiDAR data, or if not, at least high resolution aerial photos with overlap so that you can develop an elevation model out of it. And also we need a new aerial imagery to accurately reflect the changes which would happen after the construction. So the new elevation model will enable identification of new flow patterns, and also it will give us the revised catchment boundaries after the construction. And the new aerial imagery will highlight the additional impervious surfaces which are added due to the airport. So when I say impervious surfaces, nothing but roofs, roads, runways, and any other the buildings and all the paved areas, cemented areas where the water will not go through. All that can be mapped using new aerial imagery. And using this data, strategic locations for stormwater control measures can be effectively identified and implemented, ensuring optimal management of water quality and quantity in the post-construction landscape. So let's assume we get a new elevation model, which means a new updated flow network after construction. We'll be able to pinpoint the locations for stormwater intervention measures. Can be a retarding basin, swales to achieve zero net runoff to downstream areas. See, the greatest achievement could be, because this is on the very top of the catchment, upstream of the catchment. So if we can do something, bring some intervention measures so that the net runoff to the downstream, is zero, which means the downstream catchment will not be affected. So the Champavati river ecosystem will not be affected. So we can even think of putting wetlands and sediment ponds and even bioretention systems. There could be a nice places where we can identify the locations where we can put all these water sensitive urban design measures to mitigate, to avoid spoiling the downstream ecosystem. Because obviously there will be nitrates, there will be water quality issues, a lot of the airport impervious water will go downstream. But if we can treat it and send it downstream, that would be better. So at source, dealing at source will be the very good thing. So for example, on this slide, you can see the green marked areas. They are obviously done based on the previous existing DEM, not post DEM. But at least somehow the optimal locations can be identified to minimize the impact on the downstream areas and also on the rivers. So updated post-construction data will be necessary to refine these locations and to ensure the interventions are effectively placed. Thank you very much for your attention. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can reach me at jkunapo@gracegs.com.au. I'll be delighted to contribute my expertise to support this project and to ensure its sustainable implementation. And it can be a very good example for any such development, where the development won't just happen, just because that area is given for some construction, but we are looking at the entire catchment ecosystem, protecting the rivers, even the environment, and it will be a nice integrated approach. Thank you all.